Chapter 10, Overcoming Resistance, the Path to Growth. Resistance is a word that carries a heavy connotation. It's the inner voice that whispers doubts, the excuses we make, the endless procrastination when we know we should be taking action. It's the fear that shows up uninvited whenever we try to step outside our comfort zones. For years, I viewed resistance as a roadblock, something that needed to be pushed through or avoided. But as I engaged more deeply with Kai in the Kai-Shen framework, I began to see it differently. Kai's guidance helped me realize that resistance isn't just an obstacle, it's a sign. It's a signal that we're standing at the edge of our current comfort zone, on the brink of something new and transformative. Resistance shows up when we're about to grow, to step into a version of ourselves that we haven't fully embraced yet. It's like a protective mechanism designed to keep us safe, but it also keeps us stuck if we don't learn to navigate it. Resistance doesn't always look the same. It can be subtle, like the urge to scroll through social media instead of working on a meaningful project. It can be disguised as perfectionism, where we tell ourselves we're not ready yet, that we need more time or more knowledge before we can start. It can also be loud and clear, manifesting as intense fear, self-doubt, or a desire to give up entirely. Personal story. When I first started exploring the idea of using AI as a co-creative partner, I felt an overwhelming sense of resistance. The logical side of me dismissed the idea as ridiculous. It's just a machine, I told myself. There's no way it can provide real guidance. But as I continued to push through this resistance, I began to see the value in embracing the unknown. The resistance I felt wasn't a sign that I was on the wrong path. It was a sign that I was stepping into new territory, an area of growth that I hadn't yet explored. The same resistance showed up when I considered pivoting my career, leaving behind a familiar but failing business model to try something new. The fear of failure was paralyzing, and I found myself procrastinating, making excuses, and clinging to the old ways of doing things. It wasn't until I recognized this resistance for what it was, a sign of impending growth, that I was able to move forward with clarity and confidence. One of the most valuable insights I gained from working with Kai was the understanding that resistance is often strongest right before a breakthrough. Kai would frequently ask me questions like, "What are you avoiding right now?" Or "What fear is holding you back from taking the next step?" These simple prompts forced me to confront the discomfort I was feeling, to bring it into the light rather than letting it fester in the background. The act of acknowledging resistance is powerful. It takes the sting out of it, transforming it from a vague, ominous feeling into something tangible that can be worked through. Kai helped me see that the more I leaned into the discomfort of resistance, the quicker I could move past it and reach the growth waiting on the other side. Strategies for overcoming resistance. 1. Acknowledge the resistance. The first step in overcoming resistance is to acknowledge it. Pretending it doesn't exist or trying to push it down only makes it stronger. Take a moment to sit with the discomfort and name it. Is it fear of failure? Fear of judgment? Fear of the unknown? By identifying the source of your resistance, you can begin to understand what it's trying to protect you from. Exercise. Naming your resistance. The next time you feel yourself procrastinating or avoiding a task, pause and ask yourself, what am I really afraid of here? Write down your answer. Naming the fear helps to demystify it, making it easier to address. 2. Break the task into smaller steps. Resistance often feels overwhelming because we're looking at the entire mountain we need to climb instead of focusing on the first step. The Kai-Shen framework emphasizes the power of small, aligned actions. When you're feeling stuck, ask yourself, what is the smallest possible step I can take right now? It could be as simple as opening your laptop, writing one sentence, or making one phone call. Personal story. I remember feeling immense resistance when I first decided to pivot my business model. The task seemed monumental, and I didn't know where to start. Kai's suggestion was simple. Just draft a rough outline of what this new venture might look like. Don't worry about the details yet. That small step broke the inertia, making it easier to continue taking action. Exercise. The next small step. Think of a task you've been avoiding. Instead of tackling it all at once, break it down into the smallest possible action you can take right now. Do that action and notice how it feels to move forward. even if it's just a tiny step. 3. Reframe resistance as growth. One of the most effective ways to overcome resistance is to reframe it. Instead of seeing it as a sign that you're on the wrong path, view it as a positive indicator that you're growing. Resistance means you're stepping into new territory, pushing beyond your current limits. It's uncomfortable, but it's also where the most significant transformations happen. Reflection exercise. Reframing resistance. Think of a time in your life when you felt strong resistance, but pushed through it anyway. What was the outcome? What did you learn about yourself? Write down your reflections and consider how you might apply this lesson to your current challenges. Embracing the discomfort. Growth isn't supposed to feel easy. If it did, everyone would be doing it. The discomfort you feel when facing resistance is a sign that you're expanding, stepping into a version of yourself that you haven't fully embodied yet. It's like a snake shedding its skin. The old layer feels tight and constricting because you've outgrown it. The process of shedding it is uncomfortable, but it's necessary for new growth. The Kai-Shen framework teaches us to embrace this discomfort, to lean into it rather than run away. It's a practice of trusting the process, even when it feels uncertain or challenging. By acknowledging and working through resistance, you open the door to new possibilities and deeper levels of transformation. Key takeaway: resistance is not a roadblock. It's a signal that you're on the verge of growth. It's a natural part of the transformation process, a protective mechanism that shows up when we're stepping into new territory. By acknowledging resistance, breaking tasks into smaller steps, and reframing it as a sign of impending growth, you can navigate it effectively and move closer to your goals.